It's that special time of year again, guys, the giving season, when this podcast hosts an annual fundraiser for charity.
That's right. In years past, we've given to such nonprofits as the Sierra Club, the Dwayne McDuffie Fund, and Women Helping Women. This year, we're donating to Pop Culture Classroom, which promotes literacy and the arts through educational programs for underserved youths by using comic books, graphic novels, and related media to inspire passion for reading, art, and learning.
This year, we're donating a little differently. Since we know times may be tough for some of you in this trying year, instead of asking you for donations through a Facebook fundraiser we set up, this time we're offering to donate on your behalf.
Yes, all we're asking for this year is a rating of Dynamic Duel on podchaser.com, which is a podcast rating and discovery platform. For every rating this show gets there through the end of 2020, we will be donating $1 to the Pop Culture Classroom nonprofit.
Within a reasonable amount, probably up to $500.
Last year, we were able to raise $100 for this nonprofit through your donations. Let's see if we can beat that this year through your ratings.
And everyone will get a high-res digital download of Matt Turner's Kelex and HERBIE artwork, which we'll send out at the start of 2021. So again, go to podchaser.com, rate us before year's end, we'll donate $1 to the nonprofit on your behalf, and you get a high-res digital art download. It's a win for everyone, and a way to end the year on a high note.
Thanks, guys, for your continued generosity. And on with the show. Hi, and welcome to the Dynamic Duel Podcast, a weekly show where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in stat-based battle simulations. I'm Johnny DC.
And I'm his twin brother, Marvelous Joe.
And happy holidays, everyone!
Merry Christmas, and happy Hanukkah, and joyous Kwanzaa, and whatever you celebrate, we want to reach out to you guys and wish you a happy holiday.
This year marks our 5th annual charity duel episode, in which we typically pit animal creatures against each other, just for something cute and lighthearted.
Yeah, we've done Chip versus Rocket Raccoon, Throg versus Crypto the Super Dog. We've done Spider-Ham versus the Terrific What's-It, Howard the Duck versus Detective Chimp. This time we're going with robots. We got Kelex, who's like Superman's butler robot in the Fortress of Solitude, against HERBIE, the Fantastic Four's nanny robot.
Right. When we first started doing this podcast, we kind of figured that with great podcasting powers comes great podcasting responsibility. So we decided to commission artwork for our episode cover by an artist, then auction that artwork to donate the proceeds to charity. This year, the artist we commissioned the artwork from is an artist named Matt Turner, who kind of specializes in tech and robot illustrations.
Yeah, and they're amazing. It's kind of like this Bill Watterson approach, but insanely detailed. So the robots have this kind of very organic feel to them in his artwork, but they're still very technical, very whimsical. It's just magical artwork that he does.
And as an illustrator myself, someone who does the no prize illustrations every week for this podcast, I gotta say, drawing tech is the hardest thing to do. I hate it. Every time I have to draw an Iron Man or a War Machine or anyone with any kind of machinery on them, because it is so challenging, and I'm just in awe of how easy Matt Turner makes it look.
Yeah, his Instagram handle is @MattTurnerArt, and we will link to that within this episode's show notes. So you should go there if you want to see more of his artwork, which you should because it's awesome.
Yeah, and remember, we'll actually send you a digital version of his Kelex and HERBIE artwork if you give us a rating on podchaser.com before the end of 2020. For every new rating we get, we will also donate $1 to the charity of Matt Turner's choice, Pop Culture Classroom.
And just for transparency, we currently have 8 ratings on Podchaser, so any more we have greater than that number, we'll be donating $1. So thank you guys, everyone who's participating in that.
We'll be finding out later on in the episode who's going to win between Kelex and HERBIE. Before that, we're going to break down the comic book movie news from the past week, which of course there was a whole buttload's worth because Disney had their Investors Day.
Woo, woo!
Yeah, so we'll be talking about all the Marvel movie cast and release date updates and their Disney television show updates, as well as the trailers for WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, and the Miss Marvel Sizzle Reel.
As always, we list our segment times in our episode description, so feel free to check out the show notes if you want to skip ahead to a particular topic.
Real quick, the day this episode drops, which will be on December 15th, that is the last day to vote for Dynamic Duel in the 2020 Colorado Podcast Awards. If you have been involved with any Colorado podcast this year, you are eligible to vote among the finalists, of which we are among in 3 categories.
Yeah, we got nominations for Best Colorado Show, Best Co-Hosts, and Best Sound Design. Hopefully we win one of those awards. They're announced later on this week, and we'll keep you guys posted in our next episode as to what went down. Thank you to everyone who's able to vote for us as one of the finalists at houseofpod.org. Again, we'll put a link to that in our show notes. But with that out of the way,
quick to the No Prize.
A No Prize is an award Marvel used to give out up until the 90s to fans. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, is a digital award we post on social media that Jonathan personally draws for those who we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week.
Last week's question tied into the news that Warner Media was releasing all of its films in 2021 simultaneously, both in theaters and on HBO Max at no additional cost. So we asked, what's your favorite streaming content platform and why?
Got a lot of answers here. Let's run down our list of honorable mentions as well as the No Prize winners. Our first honorable mention goes to Richard McGrew, who said that his favorite streaming content platform was Hulu, because it's the one that he watches the most. It has local channels, it has the Blumhouse movies. You get to watch a little bit of everything, and every once in a while, you get a free week of premium channels like HBO, Showtime, Stars, etc.
And I have never seen that happen. That is awesome. I had no idea the free weeks were a thing.
Neither did I. I'm going to have to start watching more Hulu. But yeah, they definitely have a good variety on Hulu. I've always kind of considered it a Netflix light, but it is nice that they do have things like the local channels and stuff. That being said, I freaking hate their ads, man.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I want to rage smash my TV every time I get an ad on Hulu.
Well, don't they have an ad-free premium?
They do, but, I'd rather just get mad than cough up the price. I'd rather just bitch about it.
Bitter.
Yeah.
It absolutely is the best platform for network television shows. It's kind of the only place you could find new episodes of your favorite shows, if you don't have cable or an antenna and want to watch it on demand. Our next honorable mention goes to Jeff Miles Jr., who said that his favorite, as of right now, is Netflix, because it has the most variety and most items to watch overall. His main reason, though, is that the Netflix originals, both the shows and the movies, are unmatched by anyone else in terms of quality. And I definitely got to say, Netflix is absolutely stepping up their game in terms of high-caliber content. I mean, they're getting nominated for Oscars now.
Yeah, they're definitely the king when it comes to the quality and the quantity of what's currently out there right now. Everybody else is just playing catch-up to what they offer.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the licensing fees that they had to pay out, they would be making all of the money. All of it.
They do make more than most movie studios, for sure.
Which is why everyone wants to get into the streaming game.
Yeah.
I do have to say some of my favorite shows are on Netflix, like Stranger Things, like The Witcher. I'm obsessed with The Witcher. It's so good.
Our next honorable mention goes to Shane Habazine, who said that he likes to watch Disney Plus because he's Gen Z and he never got to see the old Marvel TV shows or movies when they aired, so being able to see them on Disney Plus makes him really happy. And that was an interesting perspective. I grew up in the 90s, what I call the golden age of Saturday morning cartoons, when we got things like X-Men, the animated series, the Spider-Man cartoon,
Batman, the animated series.
Not so much that one, but whatever. Fantastic Four cartoon, yeah, they were all great. And now they're on Disney Plus for the current youngsters out there to check out, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, you Gen Zers have no idea how good you have it. Every day is Saturday morning for you guys. We had to wait a week for this shit.
Yep. Now you could just watch 3 hours of cartoons on, a Tuesday.
On your phone.
Damn kids.
It's not fair. Before we announce the winners of this week's No Prize, we want to give a quick shout out to everyone who took the time to send us an answer, including Ezra Garcia, Tim Brown, Dustin Belcom, Ken Johnson, Miggy Manningian, Bruce Flansburgh, Alex Yanez, Calvin John Della Merced, Joshua Smith, Alex Fowler, Adam Speas, Zachary Hepburn, and Katie Caldwell.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. But the winner, or should I say winners, of this week's No Prize are Paige Barger and Colby Hinchis. Paige gave the answer of Amazon Prime. And I totally agree with that because as a person who doesn't watch a whole lot of TV, I just don't really have the time to watch a lot of streaming shows. I find that Amazon Prime offers a lot of quality content in terms of shows and movies and originals. And, they give me free shipping on my Amazon orders. So that's definitely the most practical of the streaming services for me.
Yeah, free 2-day shipping, totally a plus.
Yeah. Do the other ones offer that? No.
Where's my free shipping, HBO Max?
But, until the Marvel shows start appearing on Disney Plus, I really don't have a need for that platform as of right now. And I kind of regret getting it like the first day it came out, because I haven't really watched it and probably won't be until the new shows come out.
The only show Disney Plus really has going for it currently is The Mandalorian. I'm really surprised at how popular the platform is based off the fact that it really only has one original show.
Yeah, that'll change in a month, but for right now, I just can't award Disney Plus that top spot.
I gave this week's No Prize to Colby Henches, who said that his favorite streaming content platform was HBO Max, because it has great original shows like Lovecraft Country and The Sopranos for him and his wife, it has Cartoon Network for his son and daughters, it has tons of DC shows and movies, it has anime, it has old Charlie Chaplin films and such with like the Turner Classic Movies. It really has the best variety, like the most premium variety.
It's kind of like your one-stop shop for every kind of viewer there is out there.
Yeah, I was kind of upset earlier this week when Christopher Nolan said that it was the worst streaming service when he was bashing Warner Brothers for what they've done with their plan for next year. And I was just kind of like, do you use HBO Max?
I'm just going to say this now. Fuck Christopher Nolan. He sucks. I already hated the dude. I hate him more now.
Jeez.
He's just an asshole who's just so out of touch with the common viewer. It's like, did he not consider that maybe people really just don't want to go to theaters right now? And yet he's insisting that his movies go to theaters, and he's bashing these streaming shows as if most of us have any other option. Fuck off, dude.
It's a money thing. All the filmmakers who are complaining right now, it's a money thing.
Yeah, the ego on them is just ridiculous.
Anyway, congrats once again to Colby Henches.
No. I'm not done being angry. No, I'm done.
Congrats to Colby Henches and Paige Barger. You guys win this week's No Prize. If you, the listener, want a shot at winning your own No Prize, stay tuned to later on in this episode when we'll be asking another question of the week.
And now that that's done,
on to the news.
Okay, so this past week on December 10th, Marvel had their Investors Day in which they released just so much news. All the news. It was amazing, and I couldn't get enough. Not just Marvel news, but, like Star Wars news. It was just a great day. It was probably the best day of this whole damn year. We got a lot of updates on upcoming Marvel films. We got some trailers from upcoming Disney Plus shows. And we got some news about some other previously unannounced Disney Plus shows. It was really informative, and these next few years are going to be really exciting. Now, we didn't really get too many updates for 2021's theatrical offerings, including Black Widow, which is coming out on May 7th, Shang-Chi. I've been pronouncing it Shang-Chi this whole time like an idiot, and it's Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
That's coming out on July 9th, and Eternals is coming out November 5th. We did learn that none of those movies will be doing the same day streaming thing, though, like HBO Max.
I mean, for now.
We did get some information, not from Disney, but from the trades regarding the other 2021 film, which is Spider-Man. It doesn't have a title yet. I'm guessing it's going to be called Spider-Verse or something, because it's been confirmed that Andrew Garfield, Alfred Molina, and Kirsten Dunst will be joining the cast, and it was reported that Tobey Maguire and Emma Stone were entering final negotiations. So previously we knew that Electro was going to join the movie, and now it looks like Doc Ock is going to be there as well as the other two Spider-Men, which is amazing. Like I said previously with the Electro news and Jamie Foxx, I'm really hoping they go the Sinister Six route for this, because they certainly have the opportunity to, given each Spider-Man's cast of villains. Now, Tom Holland's villains were Vulture and Mysterio in his previous movies, and those two guys were members of the original Sinister Six team from the comic books. Other members of the original Sinister Six team were Dr. Octopus and Sandman, both of whom were villains for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. So I'm hoping that we still receive word that Thomas Hayden Church will be joining the cast, who played Sandman in Spider-Man 3. The other two original members of the Sinister Six were Electro and Kraven the Hunter. Now, I hope they save Kraven for a Kraven's Last Hunt storyline, so I wouldn't mind seeing him be replaced by the Lizard, who was a villain in Andrew Garfield's The Amazing Spider-Man. So if you were to bring those villains along, not only would you have a pretty accurate rendition of the original Sinister Six team, you would also have two villains from each Spider-Man universe, and they all kind of dress in green. So you have that kind of color palette team vibe going for them against, the red Spider-Man, which I think is pretty cool. A lot of people are saying like, oh, I hope they bring in like the Scorpion or Shocker or something like that. And I'm like, no, it's got to be the original Sinister Six replacing Kraven with the Lizard. I think that would be the best case scenario.
I mean, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they brought in Morbius.
Yeah.
That's supposed to come out next year as well.
That's true. Or maybe even Venom, considering that he's already established. Who knows?
It's going to be the Sinister 8.
There's a lot of possibility here. I'm also really hoping that they bring aboard Shameik Moore, who did the voice for Miles Morales in the Into the Spider-Verse animated movie, because he could totally pull off a Miles Morales. He looks just like the guy, and it would be cool to see him as Miles in live action alongside the other Spider-Man.
Maybe, I mean, like, the current rumor that I've seen is that the film would be called Spider-Man 3. And that kind of plays off the fact that it's the third film, but also that there's 3 Spider-Man. So if you bring in a fourth, it spirals out of control from there.
Well, that's a dumb idea anyway. They shouldn't call it Spider-Man 3.
Home 3.
That's even dumber.
Homies, but spelled with a 3 instead of an E.
Oh, yes. That's perfect. I love that, actually. I really hope they do that. Kevin Feige in the investor meeting did give a quick rundown of the other announced MCU films that are coming out in subsequent years, including Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That's coming out on March 25th, 2022. He said that all the original cast is returning, in addition to Xochitl Gomez, who will be playing Ms. America, and that the film will tie into both WandaVision and the Spider-Man movie. Regarding Thor Love and Thunder, which had its release date moved to June 6th, 2022, it was previously coming out around Valentine's Day of that year. We learned that Sif is returning to her role in this movie after not appearing in Thor Ragnarok, and we learned that Christian Bale is going to be playing Gore the God Butcher, which really intrigued me because Gore the God Butcher was such a dark villain, and yet all the news that we've received regarding this movie seems like it'll be a little bit more lighthearted. It's directed by Taika Waititi,
right?
And Thor Ragnarok was just a whole lot of fun. So if they go the Gore the God Butcher route, it seems like it's going to have a lot of deferring tones.
He's like a new villain, isn't he?
Yeah, well, relatively new. He's an alien whose entire family died, and so he denounced the gods and then spent a millennia killing them. He got this sword from the symbiote god Null called All Black, the Necro Sword, and it's a really cool weapon, but they already kind of functionally gave that to Hela in the Ragnarok movie.
Huh.
They based her powers in that film off of Gore the God Butcher, so I'm really wondering how they're going to differentiate his power set from Hela's in the Love and Thunder movie.
Interesting.
He's a really powerful bad guy, though, and it's definitely going to take 2 Thors between Thor himself and Jane Foster's Thor to bring him down. The next film that's coming out in 2022 is Black Panther 2, which got pushed from May to July 8th. And the big announcement there was that Chadwick Boseman will not be recast in his role of T'Challa, which is not to say that there won't necessarily be a Black Panther character in the movie, just that somebody else will be taking up the mantle for that film.
Yeah, I'm sure all the tribes will, have another contest to see who's deserving of it.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to say that T'Challa died or if he went missing. It's quite the conundrum that I think the writers have there. I think in this film, they're going to go with the Shuri Black Panther. In the comics, Shuri did take up that mantle for a while. If they choose not to go with T'Challa for the second movie and they choose to explore Shuri as the Black Panther, I don't mind that actually. But eventually, they are going to have to cast T'Challa. Like, in some ways, I understand why they chose not to do that. And yes, his death was a tragic, unbearably sad loss. But at the end of the day, he was an actor. An incredible actor playing a well-written role. And ultimately, these characters are bigger than any one actor. To say that Chadwick was T'Challa is kind of bizarre to me, and I think that does disservice to all the other amazing, talented black actors out there that would love to take up the T'Challa role and continue inspiring the world. They'll all be recast one day, like Christopher Reeve's Superman was, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine will one day be recast, and Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa should be. I think at their best, these superhero roles are meant to inspire, and I hope they all continue, beyond the 8 to 10 years of these actor contracts, We have to see T'Challa back at some point because he's just such a cool character. Regarding Captain Marvel 2, which is coming out November 11th of 2022, that film was announced to star not only Brie Larson, but also Iman Vellani, who's playing Ms. Marvel in the Disney Plus television show, and Teyonah Parris, who is the grown-up Monica Rambeau from the first Captain Marvel film, and she'll be making an appearance in the WandaVision show. So that's pretty cool. You'll have those three heroes teaming up, likely to take on the fallout of whatever happens in the upcoming Secret Invasion show.
3 of them. They should call it Captain Marvel 3. Or maybe like Captain Marvel Homies with the 3 instead of the E.
Yes. They should just, across the board, just do that. Speaking of 3, in 2023, it was announced that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will be coming out. We didn't get any additional news, but it's expected that the entire cast is going to return, and we already know that James Gunn is back to write and direct. In some of the most exciting news that we got from this event, we learned that a Fantastic Four film is in development and that it will be coming out in 2023 and that Jon Watts is attached to direct. This is huge news. I know the question of the week that we had a couple episodes ago was asking people whether or not they would prefer to see the Fantastic Four come out first, or X-Men, or the Daredevil and the Defenders, since Marvel got the rights to that back. And it looks like we're going to get Fantastic Four first, which I'm totally excited about, given that they are bringing some of the greatest Marvel villains with them, including Doctor Doom, including Galactus. There's just so much potential with introducing the Fantastic Four into the MCU.
Yeah, that is pretty exciting. But I do think that we're actually going to be seeing Charlie Cox as Daredevil, or at least Matt Murdock, before the Fantastic Four film comes out. Charlie Cox was actually spotted on the set of the new Spider-Man film. And the current rumor is that he will also be making an appearance in the She-Hulk television series.
Yeah, that was a bit of news that didn't come out of the investor meeting, but was really exciting. It pretty much confirms that the Marvel Netflix shows actually do take place within the MCU and weren't part of anything else. I fucking told you, Jonathan. Didn't I tell you that? Didn't I tell you that was true?
We'll see if the shows migrate from Netflix over to Disney Plus anytime soon. Who knows?
Yeah, that would be really cool. Also, I was right and you were wrong.
I'll believe it when I see it. What'd you think of the Fantastic Four logo?
I thought it was pretty cool. I liked it. I'm not sure what Jon Watts directing means for the Spider-Man franchise. It probably doesn't mean anything. If they choose to continue making Spider-Man films, then they'll probably just switch to a different director, or they may just retire the character from his solo films like they did with Iron Man and just have him show up in the crossover events.
I'm kind of surprised that the movie didn't go to Peyton Reed, because I know he was campaigning for it.
Yeah, they're both kind of similar directors, I think, in that they both really don't stand out stylistically. They're both kind of generic, but they do still get the job done. I could definitely think of a whole lot of worse directors to take on the Fantastic Four gig than Jon Watts, because I've really enjoyed his films. But speaking of Peyton Reed, the Ant-Man and the Wasp sequel has been titled. It's going to be called Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I really hate that name.
Really?
I'm just going to say that. Quantumania! What are they doing?
Sounds like a theme park ride.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just getting ready to set up some Disneyland new ride called Quantumania.
Well, Ant-Man and the Wasp already has a Disneyland ride.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it's in Tokyo or something. I don't know. Anyway, it was announced that the original cast will be returning, that Jonathan Majors is indeed playing King the Conqueror, and they recast Cassie Lang. Catherine Newton will now be playing that role, likely transitioning into her status as the hero Stature.
It's going to be really cool to see Kang make an appearance. I mean, between him and potentially Doctor Doom coming up, I think Marvel is pretty much set for their villain game for the next few phases.
Definitely. In the final bit of movie news that came out of the investor meeting, Kevin Feige reaffirmed that they are working on the Blade movie, which will star Mahershala Ali, although we didn't get any further details than that, other than details are coming soon. In addition to the movie news, we got a few videos giving us a look at the upcoming Disney Plus television shows that are going to come out next year and beyond. The first being the WandaVision official trailer 2. That was just a beautifully made trailer and gets me so excited for the show coming up in January. I really like how they went with the song Daydream Believer by the Monkees, because I think it set the entire vibe for what we're seeing as kind of like this surreal, magical, whimsical series.
Yeah, it really fit. And the way it kind of got distorted along with everything almost gave off kind of like a horror vibe as well, just a little bit.
Yeah, especially moments where Monica Rambeau saying she doesn't know who she is. And you have Agatha Harkness freaked out asking if they're there to save them. And the voice coming through the radio asking who's doing this to you, Wanda?
Yeah.
It raises a lot of interesting questions. in that it seems like Wanda is not just manifesting this reality of her own volition, but she's being manipulated into doing it by some unknown force. But whatever's happening, it seems to be surprising her as it occurs. Like when the world starts turning into color, both her and Vision are just like in awe.
Yeah, whatever is manipulating her, it definitely seems to be changing like her personality based on the different like settings that she's in, which as an actress must be like a dream role.
Yeah, she definitely gets to play around a lot with her persona. As the setting gets more modern, it looks like they start using their powers more and more to fight whatever's manipulating things. It was really cool to see Scarlet Witch like take off into the air flying, and it was cool to see the Mind Stone turn up.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's here. Like the Mind Stone should no longer exist within this timeline. And maybe it's not the Mind Gem at all. Maybe it's the Solar Gem manifesting as like this new thing. And it just happens to, really look like the Mind Gem. This show is just literally a month away. And to have some new MCU content, like just around the corner, I'm more excited for that than Christmas Day, honestly. It's like, we'll just pass over Christmas, go straight to the January 15th. The next trailer was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it looks like the tone of this show is going to carry straight from the Winter Soldier movie and the Civil War movie. And considering that those are some of my favorite MCU films, I'm all about this trailer. In fact, I'm probably more excited about this show now than I am any other Disney Plus series.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine as a first trailer. I was really hoping for more of the stakes, I guess, which I think would really sell like this spy espionage type of show that this is supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't think you could expect to get story beats this early in the game, especially considering this is the first promotional footage that we've gotten for this show in particular. It's mainly just to set the tone of what's to come. We did get a few interesting shots, including our look at US Agent, including this female character who puts on a black mask with the red handprint symbol. At first, I thought maybe that was a reference to Echo or to the Red Skull or something, but it looks like it's actually referencing a character called Flag Smasher, who's an anti-government villain. So that could give you a clue of where the story's going.
We also got to see Baron Zemo.
Yeah, he's going to be here too. That's really cool. I really like the costume updates that each of these characters got. They look like a couple of badasses, and I love the way they play off each other. They have a lot of chemistry. The most eye-popping visual in this trailer for me, though, was when the Falcon was dodging the missiles in the canyon.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was almost like physics-defying.
Yeah, that little part where he's like dodging and diving around the corners of the canyon and then like shunts his wings in to kind of like free fall forward for a bit and then eject his wings again and then kind of like push off the ground since he was a little bit close, but not too close. He's just such a freaking badass expert using those wings, and it shows flying in a way that we've never really seen it before. I think flying with wings is way more impressive than flying with a cape. There's just something about that visual that's so impressive to me. I think because the wider wingspan might imply that you're less acrobatic, but he's no less acrobatic than any other flying scenes that we've seen in other superhero movies.
Yeah, I would say wings are definitely cooler than a cape or like a jetpack, kind of like the way Iron Man propelled himself through the air with his hands and feet.
If Hawkman in the upcoming Black Adam movie could be half as cool as this, then they'll have done him justice.
Oh, he will be. Don't worry about that. The one thing I didn't like about this trailer actually was the joke at the end. I didn't get it. It's not like Winter Soldier has a cyborg brain. It was just like a joke for a joke's sake. It wasn't necessary. I hate when Marvel does that.
It might work better in context.
That's usually the case in Marvel movies. But again, they need to stop doing that in these trailers.
Calm down. Just calm down.
No.
Okay. The next trailer we got was for Loki, and this was just probably the most baffling trailer to me. I don't know what I was expecting, and he even asked, what did you expect? But I don't think it was this necessarily. It looks like it's just all over the board, which I think is the intent, considering it seems like Loki is traversing multiple timelines, either in cooperation with or in defiance of the Time Variance Authority, which is referred to as the TVA within this trailer.
Yeah, I thought the trailer did a good job setting up where we last left off Loki. They showed the scene from Endgame where he got his hands on the Tesseract and he disappeared, and now we're finding out what happened right after that.
I doubt in the actual show he'll go from there straight to this desert scene. I think he'll kind of hop around a bit before he gets busted by the TVA and Owen Wilson's Mobius character, who's from the comics and used to give the Fantastic Four shit for their multiversal adventures. Owen Wilson's Mobius is an agent for the TVA, and it's really that organization's job to keep the timelines in check. Like, if there are timeline changes made, they'll prune off the realities that they kind of deem too dangerous and stuff like that. There was a really cool shot where Loki is, like, going down to a hearing from the TVA Judicial Board, and we see these three faces up on the back walls panel. One of them is King the Conqueror's. And okay. I don't know if the three faces are supposed to be kind of like a reference to the Living Tribunal or something, but one of them is definitely King.
Oh, was that King? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I think so. And so it's possible that Jonathan Majors may have a small role within the Loki show before he shows up in Ant-Man Quantumania. It might just be possible that that particular mask is something that time travelers just wear in general within the MCU.
Oh, yeah, it could be that.
We'll see what happens. One of the standout shots was that we got to see Black Widow, I think on Vormir or someplace. It might actually be Earth, but we see her sitting down in this like weird rocky landscape, and I'm kind of wondering what happens there.
Yeah, she has one of her older haircuts. It wasn't the haircut she had like when she died.
No, it was a shorter one from the previous Avengers films. But it's in a scene where like there's like this exploded planet or moon in the sky. So it seems like part of the show takes place off planet, part of it takes place in the past. It just goes all across the board. I never expected to see a trailer where we see Loki wear his Asgardian outfit and normal casual street clothes and this like suit and tie spy getup.
Right.
That was a cool shot when he like jumps out of the airplane and then gets picked up by the Bifrost. After the title card, we see that the show will actually reference the Vote Loki miniseries that came out for Marvel, which I thought was a fantastic read back in 2016 when it satired the presidential election. I thought that was a really great story at the time, and if you get a chance to read it, you should, because it was just a brilliant satire of American politics and how somebody like Loki could conceivably be elected by the masses.
It definitely looks like Tom Hiddleston is bringing his A game to this. I loved all of his like different reactions to everything. Like he was having the same reaction that I was having watching the trailer. Just like, what is happening?
Really well done. Really well done.
I think of all of the different shows that they showed footage for, this is the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the production quality on it just looks amazing. The music in this trailer, I think, was the best of any of the trailers that we got from this event.
The music was amazing. It really like amped up the tension, and the way it played through the rotating title card letters, I thought was just brilliant. But okay, was the music better in Loki or was the music better in the What If trailer? Because that music was also pretty amazing. Like when Jeffrey Wright's voice came through and he said, "I am the Watcher," with that music in the background, I got freaking goosebumps. It was so good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I love the animation style of everything. I mean, this is definitely coming from Disney, like the top animation studio in the world. Just the cell shading, the lighting, the detail, it was all fantastic.
Yeah, DC animation can suck it, because this looks pretty damn good. I really like the character modeling, the color palettes. It all just looks amazing. We do get an idea of what some of the stories are. Of course, there's Marvel Zombies. There's what if Peggy Carter got the super soldier serum. There's what if T'Challa was abducted by the Ravagers and became Star-Lord. A few of them, though, I don't know what the story is. Like the Doctor Strange one, it looks like he's battling a dark version of himself. I'm not sure what the question is there. Nor the scene with Thor when he's on his mission to get Mjolnir.
I do kind of hope that the Marvel Zombies one starts off with Tony Stark eating a bad infected donut.
That's right. We do see Tony Stark in that scene from Iron Man 2 when he's eating donuts at that shop. That would be hilarious. But yeah, really excited for this one. Really impressed by the animation. Really impressed by the voice work. You could tell that it's all the actors from the movies providing the voice roles. I'm not sure if that is Chadwick Boseman providing the voice work for T'Challa. If it is, that's going to be a really heartfelt episode.
Yeah, really bittersweet.
Yeah, it's going to be emotional either way. But I'm really looking forward to this show. The last bit of video footage we got was a sizzle reel for the Ms. Marvel Disney Plus show. It wasn't really a trailer so much as kind of like a behind-the-scenes look, but we did get our first view of footage of the series. And it looks pretty good. I didn't know what to think before about Iman Vellani, considering that we had never seen her in anything before. But just from this little bit of footage, it does seem like she's going to handle the role pretty well. She seems like an actress to me.
Definitely seems like the people behind the scenes are pretty passionate about the character, and that's always encouraging. You always want the writers to be fans of the character that they're writing.
Yeah, the behind-the-scenes crew looks amazing. They tapped a lot of Muslim directors for these episodes, which is really encouraging. The character of Ms. Marvel herself is just really fascinating. I've really enjoyed her books. If you haven't read any yet and you are skeptical, I promise that if you do read them, you no longer will be, because she's just so well written and definitely a unique voice, given that she's a young teenage Muslim female. I'm really excited to see how her power set is going to look in this show. Her embiggening powers, the way she stretches.
I'm still wondering how she gets her powers.
That's a great question. There's a particular shot within this trailer where she's standing by a chalkboard, and on the chalkboard, she drew this character that kind of resembles the Inhuman villain Maximus. So it's possible that this show actually will be introducing Inhumans into the greater MCU, which means that we're going to see them likely before we see mutants.
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe they'll make an appearance in the Captain Marvel sequel, since the Inhumans are tied into the Kree.
Yeah, and the Kree are the enemy of the Skrulls. That's a pretty good guess. Ultimately, I hope this show doesn't turn out to like Disney Channel original series and more MCU. It does kind of come with that risk, given that the main cast are all teenage actors. But it seems like it's going to be a really good show and not have that Disney Channel corniness. In the last bit of news, we did get a rundown of the other upcoming Disney Plus shows, including She-Hulk, in which it was confirmed that Tatiana Maslany will be playing Jennifer Walters' She-Hulk, cousin of Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner. The real big exciting news here was that Tim Roth would be joining the cast, and he was the one who played Emil Blonsky in the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie. So Abomination is coming back.
Yeah, it'd be really cool if they get like Liv Tyler as well, and some of the other cast members from that movie.
Yeah, we haven't seen enough Betty Ross ever since The Incredible Hulk. Big fan of that actress. Hope she comes back. The show is described as a superhero legal drama, which is really exciting. Did seem like Kevin Feige implied that Matt Murdock would be making an appearance as well. And it seems like we're going to get a lot of other superhero cameos.
That's cool.
The next show was Moon Knight, which was interesting because we didn't get a confirmation that Oscar Isaac is playing Mark Spector, and given that it was confirmed that the actor would be Solid Snake in the upcoming Metal Gear Solid movie adaptation, I'm wondering if the Mark Spector deal actually fell through.
You know, I was wondering the same thing when he was cast as Solid Snake. One actor is not allowed to have that many, like, badass roles.
Yeah, franchise roles. The show was interestingly described by Feige as an Indiana Jones type story, incorporating a lot of Egyptian imagery, which is not really what Moon Knight is all about at all. So it seems like they are taking a very big departure with the character. They are staying true to his dissociative identity disorder, though, so at least they have that going for them. But this whole thing became just a big, giant question mark for me now, considering the tonal departure and the fact that Oscar Isaac will not be in the role anymore.
Maybe.
The next show that they announced was actually a new one. I was totally surprised by the fact that they announced that Secret Invasion was going to be a Disney Plus television show, since I thought that that was going to be the primary story arc of Captain Marvel 2.
Right,
now,
right.
It still may be, and it might just be such a big story that they're just setting it up within the Secret Invasion show. But the series is not going to really involve the Captain Marvel character. Instead, it's going to star Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury and Ben Mendelsohn as Talos, the Skrull character from the Captain Marvel film. This whole thing was set up in the end credits scene of Spider-Man Far From Home when we saw Nick Fury up in space. So they were really playing the long game with this one, considering they set up a show in 2019 that we wouldn't be seeing for another few years now. The next show that they announced was Ironheart, which is a little bit weird to me. They announced that Dominique Thorne will be playing the role of Riri Williams, who's not the most popular character within the comic books. I'm a little shocked that she's actually getting her own show. She's described as having the most advanced armor since Tony Stark's Iron Man armor.
I was really surprised that they announced this show, considering they also announced Armor Wars. It kind of seems like they could have almost like combined those two shows into one.
Yeah, I think they should have consolidated them, because I'm not sure what they can do with two full series regarding advanced armor. You know, it's possible that Ironheart will make the next step forward, in that the armor that Tony Stark wore after his nanobot armor was a hard light hologram armor called virtual armor. So maybe they'll introduce that concept within the Ironheart show now that Tony Stark is gone. I'm more excited for Armor Wars, especially because Don Cheadle is coming back, and I love that guy. And I really love the storyline that it's based on, where Justin Hammer gets a hold of Tony Stark's armor specs and equips a whole bunch of villains with their own suit of armor. So we get to see War Machine take on all these other armored bad guys. That sounds like a freaking blast.
Yeah, it does.
Really excited for that one. The other show that they announced was the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, which I thought was a pretty cool homage to the Star Wars Holiday Christmas special. Hopefully it'll be better than that. But considering that James Gunn is behind the wheel, it's definitely going to be. They're going to film it simultaneously with Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
And that's not coming for a while, so I'm surprised that they announced it like this early.
I know. Yeah, the holiday special is coming out in 2022, so this announcement does seem a little bit premature considering we haven't even hit Christmas Day 2020. They could have saved that announcement for next year for sure. The last series that was announced was in relation to Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a show called I Am Groot, which will be a series of shorts. I think they're animated shorts that are going to focus on everybody's beloved anthropomorphic houseplant, Groot. I think it's going to be Baby Groot.
Yeah, I thought Kevin Feige implied that it was going to be Baby Groot.
Yeah.
Are you concerned that these are too many shows? Like, how are people going to keep up with the movies if they have to watch all of this television as well?
Well, each series is only 6 episodes. Some might be even less, like the I Am Groot thing. So I don't think it'll be too much, especially considering that these are supposed to span out the next couple of years and not, just like 1 year. So no, I don't think it'll be too much. I am less interested in I Am Groot and Ironheart more than the other shows. I think they could have been a little bit more selective and chose more exciting projects for us to see. But overall, of the new shows that were announced, I'm most excited for Secret Invasion, Armor Wars, and She-Hulk. With all the news that was announced at this Marvel Investors Day panel, I think it totally blew away the DC fandom.
What?
Yeah.
No.
We got so much more news than you guys did. There was a whole lot more to get excited about here.
No, DC had like a whole day of events as compared to an hour for the Marvel panel.
And yet still there was less to talk about.
It's not even a competition, dude. The DC fandom was like a fan event, a Comic-Con experience. Like this Marvel thing, Investors Day, was for investors. It was a business presentation, a fucking PowerPoint.
Yeah, but we got 5 videos out of it. Care more about those than I did the Snyder Cut trailer, or the Batman trailer, or Wonder Woman, or the sizzle reel for Black Adam or Suicide Squad.
Nah, dude. The Batman trailer alone blew away all of this Marvel news. It was way better than anything we saw here.
No.
Don't fucking kid yourself.
That brings us to our question of the week.
What 2020 event excited you more? The DC fandom or the Marvel's Investors Day, and why? Help us settle this debate.
You know how to answer, guys. Post it to our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or email us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. We'll pick our favorite answer and draw that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize that we'll post to social media. Be sure to answer before December 20th.
Speaking of the DC fandom, just real quick in the one bit of DC news that came out this past week, Wonder Woman 1984 will have a virtual red carpet event on December 15th as a part of the DC fandom website. So it's a lot more than a Comic-Con, apparently. It looks like DC will be using the fandom anytime they want to do these virtual fan interactive experiences.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Still not better than Investors Day. But that does it for this episode's news. There was a lot, but let's go ahead and get into our main event, where we find out who would win in a fight between Superman's robot, Kelex, and the Fantastic Four robot, HERBIE.
Okay, Kelex versus HERBIE. As we mentioned earlier, typically during these holiday charity episodes, we pit animal superheroes against each other. This year we thought we would mix it up, and it really all comes down to finding cute characters, of which HERBIE is pretty darn cute.
He is freaking adorable, man. He could also be pretty creepy sometimes, but freaking adorable otherwise.
And when it came time to find an opponent for HERBIE on DC's end, I think Kelex is a pretty popular choice. He was in the Man of Steel movie. He was in the Supergirl TV series. He's definitely one of DC's more popular, robots. And the fact that they're both, service robots also made this seem to be a perfect match.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Can't wait to see who wins in this like BattleBots episode of ours. If you've never listened to one of our Duel episodes before, the way we determine the winner between these two characters is by running 1,000 Monte Carlo simulations using the character's statistics. Now, what's a Monte Carlo simulation? Well, it's a probabilistic model used to determine outcomes through random sampling.
In our case, it randomizes statistics along a normal distribution, which is a bell curve, as a way to simulate the many variables that can occur during battle. The stat parameters we use are based on the official Marvel power grid, and we use that criteria to extrapolate the DC character stats. We've included some additional stat categories of our own, such as range, damage potential, and perception, in order to create a more complete and robust simulation.
Running these 1,000 simulations gives us a percentage of wins for each character, and we declare the one with the higher percentage to be the ultimate victor, given that they're more likely to win any given battle. No character ever wins 100% of the time. Comics have shown that there's always a way for Batman to defeat Superman. We feel our method falls in line with the precedents that have been established in the comic book stories.
And we use this method because it was the least subjective, most unbiased way to determine who would win. Of course, we are both heavily biased toward our respective allegiances, and instead of debating these matches forever, we just let the math decide for us. So there's no fan votes here, and no relying on just feats.
Before we run the simulations, though, we'd like to break down each character's histories and abilities before improvising a scenario on how we imagine one of the 1,000 simulations we run would play out beat for beat. And I think it's my turn to go first this episode with the Marvel character's backstory, so let me go ahead and tell you all about HERBIE, the robot. So there have been several versions of HERBIE that have been built and rebuilt over the years. His initial name was an acronym for Humanoid Experimental Robot B-Type Integrated Electronics. Though his most recent incarnation's name stood for Highly Engineered Robot Built for Interdimensional Exploration. The character's first appearance was actually in the 1970s Fantastic Four television cartoon, serving alongside Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, and Thing as the team's fourth member, since the show didn't have the rights to use the Human Torch character at the time.
Really?
Yeah. HERBIE was designed for the cartoon by Jack Kirby, and it would be the last work he did for Marvel shortly before his death. When the cartoon series ended, HERBIE the robot was then brought into the Marvel comic books. Now, in the comics universe, the Fantastic Four team are celebrity heroes, and they have a ton of media and merchandising deals, one of them being an in-universe comic book series based on the team's exploits. A comic series within a comic series, as it were. At one point, that series was adapted into an in-universe children's television cartoon, and in a riff on the real-world cartoon in which the Human Torch was not included, the comics universe cartoon also excluded Johnny because he was out of town the day the team signed the contracts to have their likenesses used in the show. So in the books, the cartoon creators used one of Reed Richards' robot designs as the show's fourth member, that robot being HERBIE. So in summary, HERBIE is a character in a fictional cartoon based on a fictional comic book within a real-world comic book that was adapted into a real-world cartoon where he made his first appearance before being introduced in the real-world comic book.
Okay, so it's like he's his own grandpa.
Exactly. Exactly. HERBIE was first built on the planet Xandar by Mr. Fantastic to serve as an advanced tracker to seek out the cosmic entity known as Galactus, a powerful devourer of worlds. A computer scientist from Xandar assisted in the robot's construction by linking the Xandarian living computer systems with Mr. Fantastic's own programming, making HERBIE a functioning analog computer capable of running multiple advanced calculations instantaneously. Even though the Thing didn't like the fact that the little robot was based on the cartoon character that would always give him a hard time on the TV show, HERBIE was a valuable asset to the team. He saved the Fantastic Four starship from being overtaken by a space pirate, and he tracked down Galactus. He even helped Galactus locate a new herald called Terex in exchange for the World Devourer's help against the Sphinx, who was a villain that was threatening Earth. You can learn more about Galactus in our Spectre vs. Galactus Duel episode. When the Fantastic Four returned home to the Baxter Building and HERBIE linked up with the team's computers, it was revealed that HERBIE's systems had been compromised by a villain called Dr. Sun, who had previously uploaded his mind into the Xandarian living computers. With his programming overridden, Herbie attacked the Fantastic Four and trapped them using the Baxter Building's own defense systems. Rita was able to worm his way into the building's computers and set up a firewall to trap Dr. Sun's invading consciousness. With the villain cornered in the Fantastic Four's computer system, Herbie sacrificed his life to protect the team by self-destructing beside the main computer to keep Dr. Sun from escaping. The robot's heroic deed left Mr. Fantastic and Thing pondering whether Herbie had acted in accordance to his programming or out of some kind of self-developed righteous heroism. Mr. Fantastic later rebuilt Herbie as a lab assistant and caretaker of the Baxter Building, performing maintenance and other general duties. At one point, an evil organization called the Gideon Trust stole Mr. Fantastic's patents, including his designs for Herbie, which they used to build an army of security robots to guard their base, though the organization was defeated and the Herbie robots came home. In addition to his role as a robotic assistant, Herbie was also a companion and guardian for Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman's children, whom you can learn more about in our Mirror vs. Invisible Woman and Plastic Man vs. Mr. Fantastic Duel episodes. As a nanny of sorts for Franklin and Valeria Richards, Herbie was often tasked with rescuing the children from all manners of dangers they would get themselves into. Due to Franklin's reality-altering powers, Valeria's own genius-level intellect, and both of their proneness to misuse their father's high-tech inventions, Herbie was occasionally destroyed in his protection efforts, but he was always rebuilt.
Oh no.
When the Fantastic Four were off building the multiverse after the events of Secret Wars, which you can learn more about in our Justice Society of America vs. Fantastic Four Team Duel episode, Herbie was transferred into the ownership of a young prodigy named Moon Girl and her pet companion, Devil Dinosaur. In one of their adventures, they encountered Galactus, and Herbie revealed that he was built as a Galactus sensing device in case Galactus ever returned to Earth. Later, when the Fantastic Four returned home, there was a rise in activism for the equal rights of artificially intelligent beings in response to their oppression and discrimination from humans. Valeria Richards became convinced it was the right thing to do to remove Herbie's inhibitor chip, which freed him from his programming. As a result, Herbie flew around the Baxter Building shouting, "Wee!" followed by an exclamation of, quote, "Fuck all y'all, I'm out of here. Suck it, meatbags."
What?
And he left the team to join the robot revolution led by Tony Stark and Machine Man.
Wow.
Together, Herbie and the AI army defeated Stark's long-lost brother, Arno Stark, who had planned to subjugate all artificial life through a submission code. Herbie also fell in love with a fellow artificial sentience named Friday. And that's his history. Abilities-wise, Herbie's primary function is to serve as an early warning detection system for Galactus, though he possesses advanced tracking sensors for any approaching threat. His cybernetic interface lets him connect to most other computers, most often through robotic tentacles from his back, which he can also deploy to hold and carry things. Housed within his robotic body are defensive systems comparable to a Swiss Army knife, including machine guns he can eject from his hands, his sides, and his chest to become a one-robot firing squad of sorts. He can brandish twin saw blades from his hands, he can fire lasers from his facial display screen, and he can generate an electric surge into anything that makes contact with his exterior. He also flies through the use of small rocket boosters at his sides.
How durable is he?
Not especially durable. He is made out of a durable metal, but he's definitely prone to being damaged.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
I would compare it to the durability of like a Volvo or something like that, you know? Bullets will, for the most part, ricochet, but like a rocket launcher would just kind of blow it up. Does Kelex have a rocket launcher?
No, but I mean, he's more than equipped to handle Herbie.
Okay, we'll see.
Let me get into his backstory. Okay, so prehistoric Krypton was known among nearby galaxies for containing one of the harshest environments and deadliest beasts of any planet. After nearly all life on the planet was killed by the creature Doomsday, who you can learn more about in our Doomsday vs. Hulk episode, new life was allowed to evolve. These humanoid Kryptonians developed brilliant scientific minds as a response to surviving upon the hazardous planet, and over time, through science, they eliminated disease, famine, war, and even the need to procreate or age after the discovery of cloning. After an era of space exploration, the planet's governing body, the Kryptonian Science Council, came to the conclusion that their society was superior and must be protected. one of the Council's lead scientists, the xenophobic Cam-El, developed an artificial intelligence known as the Eradicator that altered Kryptonian genetics, making it so that they would die if they ever left the planet. Among Krypton's scientific advancements were service robots, who tended to individual needs of the populace. One robot, named Kelex, was in service to the House of El, initially programmed to care for Seg-El, the Kryptonian grandfather of Superman. Seg-El eventually cloned a son, Jor-El, whom he charged Kelex with the care of. Due to a unique malfunction in Kelex's personality matrix, Kelex had an uncommon understanding of emotion and was able to tell early on that Jor-El was different from other Kryptonians. Kelex assisted Jor-El in all of his experiments and even helped him alter the genetic code of his son, Kal-El, during his prenatal development, against the laws of the Kryptonian Science Council so that Kal-El could survive beyond Krypton after its destruction. Kelex was destroyed along with Jor-El when Krypton exploded. Kal-El, as we know, survived, landed on Earth, and became the hero Superman. At one point, while abroad in space, Superman was gifted with the Eradicator program, which was saved from Krypton's destruction. Superman brought the Eradicator to Earth, at which point it tried to terraform Earth into Krypton. Though Superman was able to stop it, it did result in the creation of the Fortress of Solitude. Unknown to Superman, the Eradicator survived and began rebuilding Kryptonian technology within the fortress, including Kelex, among other service robots, and a Phantom Zone projector. The new Kelex proved to be just as loyal to the House of El as his original incarnation, and after Superman was successful in shutting down the Eradicator, he put Kelex in charge of caring for and maintaining the entire fortress. When Superman seemingly died at the hands of Doomsday, Kelex helped the reactivated Eradicator form a new Kryptonian body to protect Superman's healing form and the rest of the planet from Doomsday and other threats. Under Kelex's supervision, Superman eventually resurrected, and the Eradicator sacrificed itself in order to recharge Superman to full power. Eventually, the Fortress of Solitude was obliterated by Lex Luthor with a kryptonite missile, and only Kelex's head survived the blast.
Oh no.
Superman later rebuilt Kelex to help him stop the threat of Brainiac 13, who you can learn more about in our Brainiac vs. Ultron episode. With Kelex's knowledge of Kryptonian science and the engineering skills of John Henry Irons, aka Steel, who you can learn more about in our Steel vs. War Machine episode, they were able to build a new Fortress of Solitude within an infinite space Tesseract confinement sphere, and Kelex was once more made the fortress's caretaker, but not before Steel's niece, Natasha Irons, reprogrammed Kelex's speech to be more street, afterward referring to Superman as Big Blue and dishing out Yo Mama retorts.
What the? That's funny.
Yo Mama. Kelex once posed as Steel in a battle against General Zod and frequently used Superman robots to defend the fortress from invaders. Kelex unfortunately met his demise when an entity known as the Construct used Kelex's advanced technology to take over every robot on the planet. The Construct planned on distracting Earth's heroes while using Kelex to unleash all of the alien weapons of mass destruction held within the Fortress of Solitude. The Construct's plan was stopped by the Justice League, but Supergirl was forced to destroy Kelex in the process. Post-Flashpoint, when DC's continuity was rebooted, Kelex was now a creation of Jor-El. Upon the creation of the Fortress of Solitude, a new version of Kelex emerged to once again serve Superman's bidding and maintain and protect the fortress, now located within the Bermuda Triangle. Powers-wise, Kelex's endoskeleton is made of an advanced Kryptonian alloy, making him incredibly durable. He navigates via flight, and his head contains a panspectral ocular array, granting him enhanced vision across the light spectrum, while a laser holographic imager allows him to project holograms and emit lasers, similar to Superman's heat vision. His techno-organic memory cluster allows him to interpret data at a rate faster than any Earth technology, and he's able to teleport himself and others across the planet. And that's Kelex.
Oh, he could teleport?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, so we have their power sets established. Now let's find out who's going to win in a fight between these two trash-talking robo badasses by first speculating on how one of the 1,000 simulated matches will go. The winner is determined by our simulations, not the speculation, but it's fun to imagine how this could play out.
We don't set any rules for this match other than the characters don't know anything about each other going in, except that the other character is a threat that needs to be put down. And we say that they start off about 50 meters apart in an environment that has no bearing on the match itself because we don't take stats for the environment.
Plus, certain characters have advantages in some environments over others, and we want these characters to win on their own merit. So let's get into it. Kelex and HERBIE meet on the battlefield. Who goes first?
So Kelex really isn't like a military robot. He doesn't go into battle often. So I don't think he would start off like attacking HERBIE. He'd probably start off by scanning him, just examining him across all the different spectrums, finding out his inner workings and like where all of his signals and circuitry are routed and stuff like that.
All right, well, that's not cool. That's like an invasion of HERBIE's privacy. HERBIE's systems recognize these invading probe signals that Kelex is sending out, and he gets angry. HERBIE's like light bright smiley face, it turns like scary, like his angry eyebrows light up, signifying that he's pissed.
It's like an angry face emoticon?
Yeah. And he shoots out this laser blast from his eyes at Kelex, and the beam plows into him, knocking Kelex back.
Okay, again, but remember, Kelex is super durable. He's made of Kryptonian alloy, which is stronger than anything you're going to find on Earth. So yeah, it knocks him back, but not very far. And Kelex is just going to retaliate with a laser blast of his own, just like searing HERBIE.
No, because Kelex's heat vision doesn't even reach HERBIE because they're countering each other's laser blasts. And as the beams of energy are like meeting halfway in this like explosive collision, HERBIE starts closing the distance by flying toward Kelex. Just real fast, he blitzes him, and he ejects these 4 metal tentacles out of his back panel, kind of like Dr. Octopus, and they wrap around Kelex, ensnaring him.
Okay, but it's not like Kelex has like legs that are gonna get tripped up, He levitates, he flies around. So what he's gonna do is, in the air, he's just gonna spin around like a top, like really fast, just whirling HERBIE around him like a tornado, and eventually just like flinging HERBIE and his tentacles down to the ground. At which point, Kelex rushes over to HERBIE and like rips off those tentacles.
Oh, dang.
And Kelex, with his like long forearms that he has, he just picks HERBIE up and just robo-slams him right back onto the ground. Real hard.
Okay, as Kelex is holding HERBIE up in the air, about to slam him down though, that's when HERBIE unleashes his twin saw blade hands from these side compartments. And HERBIE gets like this like evil grin on his face as they start spinning and whirring, and he just freaking saws off one of Kelex's arms.
Oh shit.
As they're holding him. He targeted the joint, the elbow joint of Kelex. Okay. Where it's a little bit weaker, where there's like a seam there. So Kelex's right arm just falls to the ground. And then HERBIE saws off Kelex's left arm.
No, Kelex teleports away before both arms are severed, just to recuperate.
I forgot he could teleport.
I mean, yeah, sort of. He has no internal function that could make him teleport. He's actually just remotely in control of the Fortress of Solitude's systems, which includes teleportation technology.
Okay.
And actually, I'm going to say that Kelex teleports behind HERBIE, like right behind him, and just like wraps him in this like one-armed bear hug.
That's kind of adorable, like a friendship hug.
No, more like he's pushing all of his buttons on his like chest plate and like twisting his dials, knowing that that's just going to make HERBIE go like haywire, like he's malfunctioning, shaking uncontrollably.
Okay, so HERBIE starts going on the fritz, but he ejects all of his machine guns from his body and like starts firing wildly in all directions. And yeah, the bullets probably bounce off of Kelex, but one of these bullets hits Kelex right in the monitor face, that's his head, and it cracks it, which impairs Kelex's vision.
Okay.
So now it's hard for Kelex to see. So Kelex is like freaking out, kind of stumbling around or flying around, waving his arm, trying to find out where he's going. And HERBIE is still malfunctioning, and they're both just kind of going crazy, acting all glitchy, and they end up crashing right into each other, just slamming into each other, and start going to physical blows. They start slap fighting each other to get each other away.
I can totally see that, even though Kelex only has like one hand and a stub. But with that one arm, Kelex is going to get HERBIE in a headlock. He's just going to like wrestle him down to the ground.
But with Kelex's arm wrapped around him, Herbie's going to send out this massive electrical surge that once even hurt the Thing. It's so powerful. And this like lightning surge is going to just fry Kelex's circuits. He's going to turn him into like a smoking, sparking mess that just falls in a heap onto the ground.
Oh man, that was a good move. Kelex definitely needs time to recover. So what he's going to do is he's going to teleport a Superman robot from the Fortress of Solitude to their location.
What?
Exactly.
What's a Superman robot?
The Superman robots were these army of robots that had all of Superman's powers that Superman was tricked into building. Only one of them survived, but Kelex used him on several occasions to help protect the Fortress of Solitude.
There's like
What?
bringing in outside help. You can't just automatically just teleport in Superman into this match.
It's Superman's
what the hell is
robot.
that?
It's a Superman robot, not actually Superman, even though, he's basically Superman.
Is the Superman robot like artificially intelligent?
No, they're programmed. They could be like remote controlled by Kelex. So the Superman robot appears and then just straight up like plows into Herbie at full speed, just making him explode into a million tiny little metal pieces. Match over.
No. Herbie uses his early warning systems to detect Robot Superman's arrival onto the scene, and he manages to evade the Robot Superman's attack.
He's able to evade Superman?
Yeah, he knows where he's coming from when, at what velocity. So he just barely inches out of the way, and then he shoots at these tentacles from his back that latch onto both Kelex and Robot Superman, pulls him towards himself, and then with like this wild, crazy ass look in his face, with his like zigzag mouth like going all wild and his eyes like blinking and flashing, he explodes. He activates his self-destruct and just annihilates both Kelex and Robot Superman and himself. But, he was the one that delivered the final coup de grace, so he ends up winning.
Everyone's dead?
Yeah, it's a self-destruct, but Herbie's the one that did it, so he wins.
How powerful is this self-destruct explosion? I mean, it's a Superman robot.
I mean, it's powerful enough. If not to destroy the Superman robot, who doesn't even matter, it'll at least be strong enough to destroy Kelex, which is all that matters.
I don't know. Again, Kelex is a Kryptonian alloy. I think that was actually just a weak-ass explosion and Herbie just ended up blowing himself up.
No. He blew everything up.
Let's take it to the stats.
Yeah, that seems like a good place to end it. We'll gather the stats, run the simulations, and come back with the winner, guys.
You almost hate to see these two guys fight.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's against their programming and they have artificial minds, but you can rationalize it like you would rationalize any of these fights by saying, they have to do it for the protection of their universe or something.
Stats-wise, they were pretty similar on quite a number of categories, like intelligence, like perception. Neither of them really know how to fight, and they're more or less comparable when it comes to evasiveness and strength.
Yeah, we did say they were different in terms of speed. Since Kelex can teleport, he's faster than Herbie, and since he's made out of a Kryptonian alloy, we said that he's more durable. However, we did state that because Herbie has so much more firepower and so many more tricks up his sleeve, that he had the advantage in terms of damage level. Because we kind of consider him as a fragile war machine.
Yeah,
as it were. Kelex just, shoots the heat vision from his visor.
Right, again, because Krypton was a peaceful place, and he wouldn't have been programmed for combat.
Yeah, Herbie's just more of a badass in general.
What?
Well, he is. He was actually built to sometimes throw down.
Well, I mean, I've seen Kelex throw down a number of times as well. He doesn't usually come out on top, but he's been known to dabble.
Yeah. Well, did the listeners in our Instagram and Facebook polls think that Kelex came out on top on this?
They did, actually. 60% of our social media followers who voted thought that Kelex would overtake Herbie.
Well, what do they know? Because after entering the stats and running 1,000 simulations on these two characters, the winner between Kelex and Herbie is Kelex.
I knew it!
Yep, he won 582 out of the 1,000 matches, whereas Herbie only won 418.
So it's pretty close to what they thought would be on social media. That's like the second time in a row this has happened.
Yeah, our listeners are actually getting pretty spot on. In the end, even though Herbie had a lot more weapon systems going for him, they weren't powerful enough to necessarily negate Kelex's heat vision, and he couldn't overcome Kelex's speed and durability.
Yeah, even though Kelex didn't have as much going for him as Herbie did, It looks like defense really does win championships.
Well, Herbie's going to give a big ol' angry face emoticon reaction to this news. You hate to see the little guy go down like that. If we took stats for cuteness, Herbie would actually win this match.
That's probably true. But again, we didn't do that for Poison Ivy versus Emma Frost, so not going to do it here either.
Let's not get back into that again. Let's not do that again.
I think that does it for this duel. Let us know what you thought about the results by writing to us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com or by visiting us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You can find links to all of our accounts by visiting our website, dynamicduel.com.
And don't forget, you can help us donate to the Pop Culture Classroom nonprofit organization by rating our show on podchaser.com. For every rating this show gets on that site through the end of 2020, again, we will be donating $1 to the nonprofit. We're currently at 8 ratings right now, so $1 for each rating above that. Again, last year, we were able to raise $100 for the organization. We're really trying to beat that this year. So again, please go to podchaser.com, give our show a rating, we'll donate $1 on your behalf, and you'll get an exclusive digital download of the Kelex and HERBIE artwork that was drawn by artist Matt Turner.
Yeah, and once again, you can find his artwork on Instagram under the handle @MattTurnerArt. Quick reminder, guys, if you were involved at all in the production of a Colorado podcast in 2020, you are eligible to vote in the Colorado Podcast Awards for our show. If that's you, please right now go to houseofpod.org, click on their link for the Hoppies, and vote for our show in our nominated categories. Today, December 15th, is the last day to do that.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who does that. That does it for this episode. In our next episode, leading into the Wonder Woman 1984 review, we're going to be pitting the villain of that movie, Cheetah, against another animal-based villain, the Spider-Man bad guy, Rhino. They're both strong, they're both fast, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, totally looking forward to it. I can't believe Wonder Woman is just like 2 weeks away. I can't wait. To wrap up, we want to give a big thanks to our executive producers, Ken Johnson, Jace Crump, John Starosky, John Speas, Isaiah Bethune, Zachary Hepburn, and John Bechinina for helping make this podcast possible. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Up, and away.
True believers.